Alec Empire, and I'm a music producer, DJ, musician. I've started in the punk scene very young, in the late 80s in Berlin. This was like the first music that was really interesting to me, like this kind of energy, make political statements, you know, that kind of squatting scene back then. But then, of course, when techno came up, I was very fascinated by the electronic sounds and the possibilities, you know, because you could do music on very minimal equipment and could be very powerful. I wanted to merge both, you know, like the electronic stuff with the punk energy. And this was the moment when I started Thai Teenage Riot. The MC, who had an African background, and he was very into hip-hop and that kind of stuff. Then Hanina Lyers, who was totally into Riot Girl and you know, that kind of scene, and she had a very aggressive type of female voice. Then Nick Endo, who was also a girl in the band who was focusing totally on that kind of sound effect, noise kind of energy. I think all these elements combined created that big ball of energy in a way, you know, like a fireball. That's how many people described it when we were on stage and stuff. So, yeah, I think that was the unique thing about the band. It's time to live and it's time to die. It's time to live, revolution action. Where are we gonna go for? Where are we gonna go for? Where are we gonna go for? Revolution action. Where are we gonna go for? I started our own record label, Digital Hardcore Recordings. That's like a bit over 10 years ago now. So there was no other label that would really put that kind of sound out. This was the idea behind DHR, you know, to really spread what we call the riot sounds. You know, bring music into bedrooms of kids, basically, which has these political messages. Very radical messages combined with a very powerful sound. It very soon became the genre almost of that sound, which was very digital distortion, very aggressive sounding, very intense sounding, you know, and a lot of people saw that as the next step in the evolution of music or something like that. Thai Teenage Riot was really kind of ending almost in 2000, 2001. There was a point where we felt, okay, we are burnt out, this won't go further. So we decided to take some time for ourselves. And then, sadly, the thing happened that Kai Crack, the MC, committed suicide in 2001. And of course, this was a very dramatic event for the whole scene because he was such a key person. This was such a dramatic point, and that was exactly the point of time when I recorded Intelligence and Sacrifice. The way things came about was kind of almost strange because I would play the big festival at Fuji Rock in Japan with the new band. And then a month later, Kai Crack died, and then September 11th happened the same month. And it was almost, there was like this sudden, like a real cut, you know, like, okay, everything has changed now. The music industry changed, the society, the way people looked at politics, people got very scared to say what they think. A lot of musicians had to fear for their careers if they made a political statement. That Intelligence and Sacrifice was exactly about that. I mean, when I did it, it was more like the nightmare vision of things to come. You miss me, I want you. When you hard to describe what the Alec Empire sound is, because when people used to say, it's the loudest noise, terror, blah, 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 you know, I have like tons of reviews like this. Empire Strikes Back. Here is the, you know, whatever. So, but I think if you look closer, it's more, I think it's maybe more kind of intense atmosphere within the music. I think it's that physical energy that's really the red line that connects all the different things I've done in the past. Very often my music is confrontational because other music is not, or people are suddenly confronted with stuff they didn't, or like with feelings mostly they didn't feel before. It's not that I'm sitting in the studio and go like, this is so confrontational, I'm going to do this. But I'm also the kind of musician who would say in the studio, okay, this is what needs to be said, I'm just going to say it. When they start putting shit into gold, it's time. Death, the only rumors to have. Faith is gone, only ignorance is death. When they start putting shit into gold, it's time. The new record is called The Golden Foretaste of Heaven, and it's completely different to anything I've done before. I mean, one very big change is that I don't use these kind of industrial metal sounds anymore. I'm using my voice in a different way. There's no screaming at all on the record. There's no political song, obviously politically song on the record. It's all personal stuff. You know, some people already said it's the Alec Empire Love album or something. I'm not the kind of musician who wants to, you know, just play the same concert or make the same records for the same crowd. I mean, of course it's a risk, but I'm willing to take that risk. No heartbeat, no air to breathe. Whatever I do, she's everything to me. I love it like a bioweapon. Loaded and cold, painful and sweet, oh yeah, oh yeah. I started a new band for this, it's called The Hellish Vortex. And it's not really a band in a normal sense. It's really, the Hellish Vortex is a company. It's our production company in Berlin. It's almost like a collective of artists. There are other musicians involved, some graphic designers, like all these different people. Nick Endo from the Titanic Ride is part of it. It's the main person who's a constant member of it. Playing live is totally essential. This is where it happens, I think. This is also where people react in the most extreme way to the music, because you have the loud PA, you have the right frequencies, and you can have that bass, you know. And I think very often people understand what we do when they see it live. For example, Nick Endo, she is coming up with all these new sounds that she's manipulating the sounds spontaneously at the shows, and she reacts also to the way the audience reacts to sounds she has done maybe in the previous song. So there's this constant interaction between the audience and the band and her. My heart feels like she set it on fire. Her body's shaking, her eyes are glowing. I got her, I got her. My heart burns. Yeah, we're preparing the next, upcoming tours for the next year, because we're going to tour a lot. I'm going to do some other stuff as well. I'm going to produce some tracks with Patrick Wolf. So I'm very excited because I think he's also a very interesting musician. We're going to get DVDs ready. There's one DVD, Alec Empire Live in France, with 3 live shows on one DVD. All with different band setups. And then also we're going to finish the Titanic Ride film, which is a documentary. It's very interesting footage, I think, especially now when you look back to the times, how different it was to now.